there was a lot of good points. I lost time to actually research it as well. I do have a couple notes, but not as much as I wish I had. There was also like some blogs that you did, and there's also your blog on your own website that I wanted to read, didn't get around to reading it. So we'll see how this goes because I forgot.
That's amazing. That's so nice of you to like do research on me. No one, I've done 11 podcasts, 12 so far, and no one has ever said that. And so I feel really honored, and it makes me really happy inside that you did so much research and reading my stuff. And
It's not as much as I usually. Sometimes I go like really deep into Facebook pages and stuff. This time I didn't, which I'm kind of disappointed in myself for. Um, but we'll see how it goes because there's been too much in the last week, and I wish I had more time.
I'm happy that you did get to check out some stuff anyways. And then I also wanted to say if we could hopefully keep it 2-ish hours, because I have a lot of stuff.
That's fine. That's fine.
So like 2 hours, but I think we could get a lot of information in there.
I guess there was one thing in your ebook it was nice. Our thoughts are powerful. They shape our beliefs and consequently our reality. If you believe you're going to be an equestrian equivalent of a wet noodle every time you saddle up, guess what? Your horse picks up that energy faster than a Jack Russell spots a squirrel. How do you approach being an equestrian?
In the beginning of my journey, I approached it much differently than I do now. In the beginning, I realize now with all of my experience that I was battling with two parts of myself. One, some kind of magnetic pull towards being around horses, these big, majestic creatures where I honestly felt safe. Some people feel like they go around horses, oh my gosh, they're so big. And it's that safety aspect. But for me, it was like the bigger the horse, the more protected I felt. Something subconscious that was actually working and at play there, which I didn't realize until a lot later, was that I was proving my worth through my ability to work with my horses. And right now, the way I approach my horses is every time that I go out there to sit with them, to ride, to actually, honestly, I don't have this urge to even ride anymore. I just want to be around them and observe them. And I approach it in that, what am I going to learn about myself today? So they've been teaching me lessons in authenticity, because the more open I am, the more authentic I am, the more that I act on whatever I feel in that moment, the more my horses are magnetically pulled to me. Whereas in the beginning of my journey, I was pulled to the horse. But now the horses are pulled to me because I am.
There was one thing that you mentioned when we were brainstorming, trigger words. When it comes to like the trauma and the trigger words, is that why horses work so well for you? Is because they don't have to say anything? It's more of the things that don't have to be said, so you don't get the same emotional, not attachment, but recollection?
Ooh, that's an interesting thing that you just said, because horses do have it, and it's not in words, but it can be in the energy that you hold. Even the way that your body moves, not even what exactly you do, but the way that your body moves due to whatever your mind is conditioned to believe. So I have a horse that experienced a lot of trauma, although some other people in that horse industry might not see this horse's experience as trauma, because to them, it's normal. But to this specific horse, it was traumatic. And so he had these triggers, which I learned about, and I started respecting his emotional boundaries, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, that I'm respecting my horse's emotions and his boundaries. Oh, he tried to bite me and I'm not going to punch him in the face like most other equestrians might do, like teach him a lesson. He's not supposed to do that. And for me, it was, no, I don't want to teach him a lesson. I want to understand the lesson. What did I do that provoked him to do that? I triggered something in him. How can I backtrack now and understand him better. Because in this whole process, it was literally me showing myself that I'm giving myself permission to understand my reactions instead of getting angry. Like, oh, she's too much. You're too much. Kasia, calm down. And it was like, I felt, no. Is it too much when my horse tried to attack me? No, because I triggered something in him. So now if I understand what triggers him, then I can come about it in a different way and help him heal. And mostly that meant just being present and making him feel safe in my presence and respecting his boundaries. And so I took that lesson to myself and what I was doing with myself and my journey, which was when I was triggered by someone, I have this emotional reaction, that it's okay to have this emotional reaction because it's not too much. To me, no emotional reaction can ever be too much. This is just my opinion, because based on my experience and what I was feeling and my triggers, that reaction felt needed. That was ideal. It wasn't too much. Too much for someone else because they're not ready for that kind of emotions. They didn't experience the 35 years or whatever that I have experienced. So it's not too much. It's just being present with those emotions, being okay with that, and then understanding what that's about. Not guilt tripping myself into, oh, that was too much. You were too loud. You were too much. Just the spiral I would used to do. But in teaching this horse with those triggers, I also started teaching myself with my triggers.
Is that because of when you got lupus and that entire situation of just like or actually better question, what kind of person were you before you got it, and then during, and then now?
Okay, before lupus, I was chaotic. On the outside, I tried to present myself as a positive person, but subconsciously, I knew it would never work out for me. And I felt like no matter how hard I worked, it would always just fall apart. And in my reality, I had experience after experience that gave me evidence that those deep beliefs, those subconscious beliefs were true. And I'm like, see, well, I worked 80-hour weeks and I ended up homeless anyways. So see, it'll never work out for me. And, I had these credit cards. I had a car. I had a roof at some points. I had a horse. My dad got me a horse. And it's like, I had all of these things, and I had the ability to walk and to go to work and to do the things. And I just felt so stressed. I just felt like, when is it going to end? When is it going to become just not even easy, just like a tiny bit easier. And it never did. And then, of course, I got lupus. And then at this point, I was just like, see, more evidence. Like, now, not only is everything falling apart around me, but everything is falling apart within me physically as well, which got me really angry at myself. I've been angry at myself most of my life and engaging in very unhealthy ways to cope with that. And here, like, I wasn't consciously attacking myself in this case, but my body was attacking itself in this autoimmune disease. And now I can see how it's a little bit funny, because when I decided logically I wanted to injure myself, then I felt good about that. Now here my body is doing it for me, and I felt angry at myself. I felt so much rage, like my body's just falling apart. And so I went through this depression of, yeah, it'll never work out for me. But then it was like something just clicked. More specifically, I remember I was just looking up how to train a horse from a wheelchair, and I saw that there were people doing it. And that's kind of like the moment where I was just like, my whole perspective on my life, on the world, on everything just shifted 180 degrees. I didn't see things like before. I became more capable, bedridden, than I was working 80-hour weeks. I became more motivated, more happy, more optimistic, truly optimistic, not just, I'm a happy person, but inside up in pain. It was more like inside I was happy that I get to prove people wrong. The only pain I had, I guess, was physical, on the physical aspect due to lupus, but like motivationally, I had never been so deeply motivated with this knowing that it's gonna happen. Before it was like, I'm motivated, look, I'm doing all the things, I'm working, I have 4 jobs, I'm doing all the things. But there wasn't this knowing, there was a hoping. And lupus gave me this knowing.
Why did you want to prove people wrong?
I think there's 2 parts to it. I wanted to prove other people wrong, but I also wanted to prove myself wrong. It started as logically what I understood consciously was that I'm going to prove people wrong because there are all of these cases online that I saw, specifically Amberly Snyder's. Hers was the most motivational for me. If they can do it, then I can do it. And it was kind of like my last chance before kicking the bucket. Like, it's either this or I die. So I might as well, like, I got this. Like, I might as well go for it. Like, I can prove people wrong. I couldn't prove them wrong, like, like in the past with my grades and getting a good job and getting into an amazing university and getting a sponsorship. Like, I couldn't. It was just one failure after another. But I was like, this, I don't know. It was different. I just saw these other stories and I just felt this, something inside of me just said, yes, you can do this. Because this is your only option.
Do you prefer motivation over discipline or discipline over motivation?
Discipline, I feel, is more effective to keep going. And that can also lead me into the motivation. Because there's this 5-minute rule where you do something, you set a timer, you do it for 5 minutes, and then you make a promise to yourself that you're going to stop after 5 minutes. But then usually you get into the flow. And you're like, oh, this is so bad. I could keep going. And so having that discipline helps the motivation blossom. At least that's how it works for me personally. My motivation comes in like spurts. And, oh, my horse did this and looked at me this way and slow blinked at me. And now I'm full of this motivation to paint and something.
Your paintings are really nice, by the way. They have like a really nice touch. They're kind of weird sometimes, but like they have a nice character to it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So the motivation like comes and goes. But even if it goes and I have that discipline and I can at least do, for example, set the timer 5 minutes, then most of the time it just comes naturally. Like it wakes up in me and then I'm able to continue on, not by forcing myself, but because I actually want myself to do this.
There was one, I don't know, direct quote that 90% of the things that you think will go wrong will never happen, and the 10% they do isn't as bad as you think they were. Is that kind of how horseback riding is to you, that because you love it so much, there's no resistance to actually getting something done or actually doing something, going on a ride, training or something? That's whatever your passion for it overwhelms or negates the negative motivation?
In a sense, yes. Because I also shifted my perspective of mistakes and my definition of failure. Because mistakes are just stepping stones to learning. And so if you have a wonderful session, okay, that's great. But if you have 8 wonderful sessions in a row, what are you really learning? And I really like learning about myself, because the more I learn about myself, the more experiences I have with my horses on a deeper level. And I really love that. So when there is resistance in me, let's say I want to jump something, I want to work on jumping higher today. I'm going to have a trainer who's going to come. This was a couple years back when I was still competing and stuff. But like, let's say today I really wanted to jump, practice 1.20 meters. And then, that's my intention going into this. And the whole lesson, flat work, the trotting, the cantering, the lead changes, the bending, all of this is showing me that today is not a good day to jump. At least not jump that high. We should be doing maybe some bounces or something else. And then there's this frustration that used to build up in me because I felt like a failure. Why could I not prepare my horse during the groundwork, or not even during the groundwork, during the flat work under saddle, to prepare him well enough to do the goal to practice jumping 1.20 meters when this guy was driving an hour to come and train me on my property? Then I had this frustration, this resistance. And now the way I see it is, this is a lesson for me. This is a lesson I didn't know I needed. Not a lesson like a jumping lesson, but a deeper lesson on a more emotional, psychological, spiritual level. Why do I feel this need to push my horse and push myself? I'm angry at myself because I didn't get the opportunity to prove what a good rider I am. And in proving that I am such a good rider and we can go around and do a 1.20 meter course bridleless, then that means I'm a good person. That means I'm a good trainer. That means I'm a good horse owner. And that comes from a feeling of, I'm searching outside here to prove I'm worthy of attention and essentially love. So when I see it now, this frustration comes up in any aspect, not just jumping, but any aspect. It's a chance for me to see, ooh, this touched a point. This was a trigger for me. So what lesson can I learn about myself to release this negativity, to release this emotion that I don't want in my body? Because that affects my lupus. The emotions affect my lupus. So it's kind of like a free ticket to the show of your soul on the inside. Like, you get to walk in, see what's happening on stage, and you can observe it, feel it, and then you can let it go. But this letting go part is a hard thing. It's hard. And I needed some help understanding how to do that. So I sought some courses, mentorships, therapy to help me understand better how to let it go. Because when someone just said like, oh, process it, just let it go. Just let it go. It's like, fuck you. Like, that's the first thing that just comes up. Like, really? It's just like, you can't just let it go. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense.
I want to get your definition of failure, but like a side tangent. Your frustration, did that lead to anxiety, which then led to resistance, or was it just frustration to resistance?
There was anxiety all the time. I was in a state of flight 24/7. Because for me, it all boiled down to love and survival. If I don't have that love, then I don't feel like I can survive. This was when I was doing some more deep inner work. I finally got to this understanding, not even understanding, this feeling, because I felt this, that if I don't prove my worth to myself, that means I'm not lovable. If I'm not lovable, that means no one will help me. What does help mean exactly? It could mean different things, but like in a tribe, let's say, if you were exiled from the tribe, it basically meant death. So if you don't have the acceptance of all of those people around you, then it's like death. So that's why I was searching for this acceptance from everyone around me, which started as a child. And so this continued on because I never upgraded how I viewed the world. I just kept viewing it in this sense. So failure for me at that point was not proving to other people, and therefore not proving to myself that I'm worthy of living, because I could not find love from other people in me, or evidence from other people that I was worth something, that I brought some kind of value to the world, which if I didn't, then I just thought that just means I shouldn't live. And so I struggled with suicidal ideations and also attempting suicide because I struggled so much with that. And for me, I feel like I don't fail at anything now. Like, there's no way to fail, because let's say I start a project and then a business. Let's just say I start a new business. oh, I have a good one, because I did try to sell horse bridles. I did these colorful bridles. I got them made. I imported them and they're so beautiful, leather. And like, I never saw such colorful bridles and I wanted to offer that. I'm providing value, this amazing stuff. And it wasn't really selling. I sold a couple, but it was not enough to continue the business. And I just thought, okay, I didn't fail. I learned something. And this investment, I don't see it that I lost money. I invested into this lesson for myself, which is something that some other course wouldn't have given me, because I felt this. This was a whole roller coaster of emotions starting this business. So this business didn't work out, but it wasn't necessarily a failure because I got so much from it. And I'm continuing a different business. I take those lessons and I take it into the next business or the next thing, or maybe not even into business, but I take those lessons and I might tweak it in some way or understand it in an analogy in some way of my horse. This business that failed to some people, that didn't work out, is an analogy for maybe a horse and how I work with a horse. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The first time I heard this was at a Millionaire Mind Intensive by Success Resources. They honestly changed my life. And I just kept repeating that in my head. Anything that I did, I was making coffee. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. How am I making this coffee? How am I brushing my horse? How am I giving the horse a bath? How am I exercising my horse? And so for me, just continually asking myself this question allowed me to see how everything is connected and how everything is like a metaphor for something else. And everything is the same in some sense.
I've got like 20 tangents I want to go off of, but I do want to find out, how would you define failure?
Failure is completely giving up on something and taking no positive lesson from it.
There's something like last week that there's been like a lot of stuff that's been happening last week, and it's all been like condensed down to like too much to do per day. And like there's been times when I'm like, you know what, do I really want to keep doing this podcast? I've only done like 25. It's just, it's okay if it stops. And then there was one thing that I just like, it came to my mind while I was like, because like right before I go to sleep, I usually have these like anxiety attacks, and I'm just like, is this all worth it? Did I do everything today? It's usually like I'm either dehydrated and didn't eat enough, or didn't get enough sleep. And one of the things that I thought of was failure. The only way that you can fail is by quitting. But if you lose, that's not failure. That's just a part of the process of whatever it is. And if you go back to it, then you haven't actually failed.
True. Yes. And to add to that, you either win or you learn. Take lose out of the equation completely. You either win or you learn. Again, this is something I heard through Success Resources and absolutely adore them for how much they've changed my life. Even through these little quotes, some people think like, oh, they came to some clinic, some 2-hour-long webinar or something, and they want their life to change. And they feel like from this program, from this webinar, my life is going to change. And for me personally, it's not necessarily all of the information from the 2-hour webinar. It's freaking one quote like this. You win or you learn. And it's like, I feel electrocuted, like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. That's the tiny gold nugget that changes my life in these programs, in these courses. So hopefully some of these listeners will hear this and also resonate with that, and will also start to ask themselves just in their head as they're doing something where they feel this frustration come up, and then, oh, I either win or I learn. I'm learning.
Small tangent. What you were talking about, how people, whenever they go into something, they try to learn everything, whereas that sets the bar of expectation really, really high. It's like, I want to get everything out of this. It's like, how about you focus on like the one best thing that applies to your current situation and just deep dive into that? Because usually like a wall has a lot of bricks, but usually if you just push one brick, everything else tumbles. So it's like, just focus on like the pain points of whatever's blocking you. But the other thing I was going to say is, a little while ago, maybe a couple months ago, I started realizing that a lot of people see things as a win or as winning or losing, whereas the way I see it is God gives me everything in either two things. It's either an opportunity or a lesson. So either way, I still win, but I can either learn from it and grow from it, or I can take advantage of it and grow from it. So do you prefer to quote unquote win, or do you prefer to just make less mistakes?
The first thing that comes to mind is neither. Just whatever comes about is what I'm meant to experience. And that brings along this idea for me, which I feel like I can never make a wrong decision. Even if I have option A, B, C, it doesn't matter what I choose. It's the right decision because essentially I'm going to be led to the same place anyway, which is looking back at my life. Now I can see it because like, I'm a visual person and I visualize my life and I see the evidence and I see the examples, specifically with artwork. Like, I was interested in artwork and I actually started with, I was left-handed and I liked pulling stuff as a kid with my left hand, but that really wasn't accepted or traditional. So I had to learn to, draw and write with my right hand. So I was ambidextrous for a while and eventually I had to transfer over to my right hand completely. And as a kid, I didn't, object to that. Just like, because I need to be loved and accepted. Otherwise, I'll be, die in a nutshell. So I started drawing with my right hand. And, then I loved it. I loved just drawing. It didn't matter if I did it with my feet, my left hand, my right hand, doesn't matter. Just as long as I could draw something. And I did really well in school in drawing, but not in other subjects. And that was upsetting to teachers and family because I'm not doing well in English and math and history, the important subjects. But I was like, well, I get an A plus 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 in like dance and music and art. And, and in high school, I also felt this pull and I kept wanting to be an artist, but I always felt this pressure from the outside, like, no, don't do that unless you want to be homeless. And so I was like, yeah, they're right. So I needed to be a horse trainer. I need to be a veterinarian. I need to, I don't know, just be someone, because an artist means being no one, no value, no validation, no evidence that I'm worthy. So I ditched that. And every time I tried to do something in the direction of anything other than artwork, like studying wise, it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And I struggled. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go to school for business. And I couldn't pass accounting for the life of me. And my mom's an accountant.
Don't worry, I hate accounting. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
So I decided to switch to something else and to something else. And I just kept bouncing back and forth until like I moved to Poland, and still I studied business in Poland. And either an event like lupus happened when I came to Poland to study business and ride horses. And lupus happened and I was in a wheelchair. And I was like, again, I cannot finish the college or university that I started. What the fuck? Like, I'm trying so hard, universe. Do you not see this? And it was because of the lupus that I started painting. So again and again, the universe keeps trying to put it in my face that art is my direction. Art is needed in my life. But I just wouldn't accept that because other people around me didn't accept it. So it wasn't until I started accepting myself and seeing how healing my artwork was for me and how much joy and peace it brought to me that I continued to do that. So yeah, when you ignore something that's meant for your journey, no matter if you choose A, B, C, D, D, E, F, D, D, apparently there are 2 Ds in the alphabet, no matter what letter you choose, you're going to end up in the same, ending, the same result, because I meant to be an artist, and I see that now, how everything led up to that, no matter what decision I chose. Poland, LA, this job, that job, this school, that school, 3 different universities, which I never completed.
I can see why you didn't do well in English. There was you mentioned this like a couple minutes ago, as well as earlier. It comes to like self-worth and attention, feeling loved. What was it, if you don't mind talking about it, what was it in your childhood that you didn't have that caused everything else to kind of be the way it was? Like, what were you missing in your childhood?
I was missing a safe space to be myself, which means dancing, laughing, being loud, painting, drawing, and not being reminded that, if I paint or draw, then that's something that will get me nowhere. Just a space to be myself and to be encouraged to be more of who I am, not to hide who I am. Because when I had too many emotions, good or bad, I should say positive or negative, like when I was super excited, then it was too much. And if I was super sad and crying,
Okay, so it was like the extremes of both.
Basically, then it was also too much. I was just always too much. And so my whole childhood was trying to pack that and hide all of that and show no emotion, to the point where, I'm trying to think of how old I was. I think I was 15. I was 15 when my dad and my mom bought me a horse, my dream horse. Her name was Diva. And I remember exactly where we were standing and everything. And my trainer came up and she's like, because I had been trying her out and I was looking for a horse and I just really loved her. And she's like, she's yours. And my dad was standing there and she was standing there and my friends were all like, and I was holding her. And they're like, she's yours. They like repeated it. I'm like, yeah, cool. And like my reaction now, if someone would give me a horse, is not just like she just told me, oh, here's a cup of coffee. Yeah, cool. I just got my dream horse. Yeah, cool.
Okay, so it's like you were kind of living passively. It's like without really acknowledging the excitement of the emotions.
The ups or downs, yes. And if I did have the downs, then I would hide that and have them alone, because, other people don't accept that. And I'm going to die if I show my emotions to other people. So I had those in private, which was overwhelming, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And since no one ever talked about how to deal with these crazy emotions, it was just like, you shouldn't have them. Okay, well, I do. So what am I supposed to do with them? No one ever told me. So I found very unhealthy ways to cope with that. And when someone, either a family member or a teacher or someone or a friend even, noticed that I was engaging in these unhealthy behaviors, such as cutting, vomiting, then, I moved to the next one and the next one to try to hide it.
So you took because I'm thinking there's 2 different extremes here. There's the bottle everything up and then release everything. Did you eventually go from bottling up to releasing everything, and then now you're more in like a middle ground? It's like where it's more manageable?
Yes, I would say that I don't bottle things up. Sometimes I sit with it. I would say it's an open container. It's in the container is open, and I am processing it. Because sometimes I don't know how I feel about something. I feel something. Maybe I'm conflicted because I feel positive and negative feelings about it. So I don't really know. So the container is there, but it's not something that I shut. It's just there for processing. And maybe within the next week or a couple months, more experiences happen, which I then try to make connections to whatever's in that container. How can I learn from this experience with this person that I met at the grocery store? Does this help me in any way? Find some clarity about what's going on with my very sad horse, for instance. Like, I try to make these for what other people might see as crazy connections, but for me, I feel like there are these connections. Like, people read between the lines, and I try to make these deeper connections that are not so easy to see.
Is it also possible to overanalyze the situation?
Yes, because that can also keep you in a stuck freeze mode, as well as like when people are researching things and they want to they want to know more about the method before they go use it with their horse. But I feel like that's just a trap to keep you stuck. It's just an excuse not to actually do the hard work. So yes, go learn something, but then go do it. Because if you don't incorporate what you just learned, if you don't implement it on the day-to-day, then you technically don't know it.
Well, I don't think it would be technically. It'd be quite literal. You don't know it. You know how to, you know the book version of doing it, but you don't actually know how to doing it. Yeah.
So once you are able to teach someone, this is what my business mentors tell me, and in all of our sessions together, learn, do, teach. You learn something, learn one bit of it, go do it and practice it until it becomes second nature for you, and then teach it. And that's when you truly know. If you can teach someone this skill, this idea, this theory, this process, this method, then that's when you truly know that you know it.
This is like, it's a weird tangent, but also kind of related. How would you define life?
A life is the pursuit of your authenticity. Life is the pursuit of experiences and developing the kind of experiences you would like, which takes experiencing some things that you might not like, because in experiencing those, it gives you more clarity on what you actually do like. So any experience, whatever it is, it's an amazing experience because it gives you more clarity on which direction you should go. So it's just this kind of journey of uncovering who you are at your core.
Who would you say you are at your core?
Ooh. So this is an interesting topic because I have done some courses called Behind the Mask. And in these sessions, they're very intensive 3-day sessions. I believe it's 6 hours a day of going through this process of finding out who you truly are. And there's 4 questions only, which are given by my business mentors. And the first question is, who are you? And so I spent 2 full sessions. That means 2 3-day events, 18 hours plus 18 hours. That is how many hours I needed to, in that moment, know who I was or who I am. But the thing is that I was a different person in that moment. So my answers to these questions are constantly changing. And, like I can sit here and be like, oh, I am light, I am one, I am connected, but I don't feel that. It feels so surface level and basic. So maybe that is, for example, someone else's answer, but until you feel it in your soul, in your core, then it's not who you are. So in this moment, I would say I am a combination of, actually, I know, I'm going to grab a painting because I feel like this is what came up for me when I finished those sessions. I just felt this need to paint what I visualized and what I experienced and felt as in my core, because I felt like a glittery unicorn running through a field. I felt this freedom. And I also felt being a dragon in a cave. And I felt how much anger and how much darkness this dragon had. and how much safety this dragon felt being within a cave alone. But I also felt how much freedom and safety this glittery unicorn had running through a field, which is completely opposite. One was in darkness and alone. The other one was, under the sun in a field and had nature surrounded and felt this connection to nature, to other horses, to other parts of the herd. But it was just this feeling of security. And I am both of those. I need both aspects because when I incorporate those parts of myself, which I rejected for so long, then they don't have so much control over me. And so let me get this painting. Give me 2 seconds. So this is that glittery unicorn that I had. But what's interesting is that it does not have Pegasus wings. It has these like almost evil looking bat wings, which is very intentional. And my cat is also here observing.
The cat's great.
And this dragon, if you can see, has kind of like horse hooves. It also has this kind of unicorn thing. It also has a mane, which is even more epic than the Pegasus's mane. And so this dragon has aspects and has parts, good parts of this unicorn. And this unicorn has some of those darker parts of the dragon. And even here, like on the tail, you can see it has spikes, but they're kind of pulled inwards. This dark part can use the spikes when needed. It's there. So, for me, who am I? I am all parts. I am the darkness. I am the light. And I get to choose how to dance between the two, which is, is this a dance or is this a fight? I mean,
that's what I was wondering. I thought it was a fight, and then I looked at it. And then you said dance. I was like, it could be a dance.
And then also, what you might also see, like for me, everything is the same and everything continues. So, and everything is about love. So for me, this is only after I painted this that I saw this. There's a heart here, and then there's an upside down heart down here.
Oh, that's cool.
Hearts kind of connect to make the infinity through hearts, which is what I see. Not everyone might see that. Me, symbolic meaning, which brings my soul a lot of peace and gives me a lot of clarity, and also helps me be okay when those darker parts, those shadow parts that, all my life I've been told to do, no, too much, hide it, no, like don't do that. Like I let that come up and I'm like, oh, hello. You have some good parts about you too. And I'm willing to sit with you right now to feel that and to see that.
It looked like the first thing that came to my mind was the yin and yang, but it was more than just a yin and yang. It was like, yes, there's a darkness in one side and there's light in the other, but it's like there's also all the other details that the yin and yang just doesn't incorporate, which, I mean, of course, it's an oversimplification. But no, it's like, again, like I said, your paintings are really interesting. But now when you talk about it, like why it is the way it is, it's an artwork, and it's really nice.
And what's cool is that in my visualization, this is what came up, and it invoked this motivation in me, this inspiration, where I felt I was able to tap into some part of myself that was not connected to my logical brain. It was just kind of, this visualization was just flowing from my heart. And then when I get into painting, that's where I super duper flow. And I disconnect from my brain and my heart just takes over. And that's where I really love to sit and observe my paintings and look at them afterwards. Because like I said, I did not intend to make this heart. I did not intend to make it a dance or a fight. I just knew I wanted what I had in my visualization. Some kind of dragon, but some kind of unicorn. And then I just have that in mind and I just go turn on some music and I go paint. And then again, my subconscious and my heart takes over and I flow. And that information comes from somewhere else, not from me. Well, I guess through me, but I love like reading my artwork.
There was something I saw on Instagram. It was I haven't done the research in it. I might add it to like the episode notes to this one, that the heart sends 80% of information to the brain, and the brain only sends out 20% to the heart. Something like that. It's like I haven't thought of that before. Like when people say, "Oh, I came from my heart," I'm like, your heart's just an organ, but apparently there's also a lot of nerves that goes from the heart to the brain, and like there's an overwhelming amount of information. I haven't done a lot of research, and I haven't done anything. I was just like a thought that came up 2 days ago, so I'll have to. I just like random tangent. Main question: do you see colors as a way of understanding your personality or understanding who you are?
Yes, but it's more than just colors. In my artwork specifically, it's about the subject, what kind of energy the subject portrays, maybe in the expression or the position or the movement. It's also about what kind of texture am I using? Am I using huge globs of paint? Am I throwing the paint? Am I throwing the paint because I'm feeling some anger? Or am I throwing the paint because I'm feeling playful like a child? So these are all things that I'll analyze later. And then also the strokes. Is it very clear that there's a blue and then red, or do they blend? Is it a thick stroke, or am I using a more delicate brush? And it's very, I don't want to say powder because it's not powder, but it looks powdery. Like it's not so one color, one block of color, but different shades of like one color, which almost looks a lot more of a softer tone. So it's not just the color, it's a lot more.
There was you were talking about energy, and I kind of you talked about this when we were brainstorming, which also I kind of saw in your painting, which is not to absorb energy, but to accept it and release it, which is really similar, or at least from what I saw from your painting. It wasn't absorbing any energy. It was just releasing it and accepting that the two are different, but still not connected.
Yes, and I'll continue talking on that because some of my artwork starts, it depends, but sometimes it starts out of a negative feeling, a feeling of anger, of pain, of depression, of sadness, of loss, grief, something that maybe people might think, oh, I don't want to hang that on my wall. I don't want to attract and manifest that kind of stuff. But I don't see it quite like that. I see it as the emotions that I'm having. I get to express that onto canvas where I then see it, and I see this potential pain as something very beautiful. The colors and the whole process makes it beautiful. And so through painting, it helps me complete my cycle of emotions. It helps me come to that point where I have complete faith, hope, and happiness. And so my artwork, even some that start from a place of pain, in my opinion, exude this energy of inspiration, of possibility, of hope. This whole story behind the colors and behind the objects, the subjects within it. And that I also feel like this painting, maybe someone's going through their own depression or a similar challenge as to what this painting stemmed from. And so this painting essentially symbolizes them crossing the bridge over that challenge. And so when they see this painting, for instance, in the morning, at night, then they're reminded of who they are and the possibility and their journey. So it's not just like an IKEA, oh, this looks like my horse, I'm going to put it up there. It's like, no, I see myself, I see my whole journey here, and I also see my future in this painting. and that it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to wear cat ears. It's okay to be pink. It's okay to be silly. It's okay to be loud and dance. And I think a lot of people are missing that permission slip to be themselves, to be a little silly, to get in touch with their inner child, who maybe like me never really got to, dance around and act like Michael Jackson because that's what I like to do. But then people told me like, that's inappropriate. Stop it. But I just wanted to dance and feel because I have a lot of feelings. And then on the other side, this is bringing me to another thing, that my parents, with the best of intentions, wanted to help me in life and told me that, I needed to control my emotions. Yes, I understand it now, but at that time, I didn't understand how that was possible because I'm sensitive. People said, too sensitive. You're too sensitive. I'm too everything. Too much, too loud, too sensitive, too. Should have a shirt that says that, too. Okay. Side business idea. Okay. So this sensitivity is actually my superpower. I always thought it held me back because that's what everyone else said. But when you flip the script and see the exact opposite and change the definition of it, then that's what shows you your path and shows you the way to accomplish your dreams. So I'm too sensitive. I'm just sensitive enough to connect with the kind of horses that went through whatever history, trauma, that I'm the only person who can connect with them in an ethical manner and not just beat the soul out of them so that they're standing there lifeless, but they're going to listen. Otherwise, you're going to cut their ear off or something. So no, I'm the only person who can really come into their space openly with no hidden agenda to prove myself as a trainer, to prove I'm just there. I'm very sensitive and I can pick up on those things. I can pick up on their signals. Like, did you see the way that he blinked and his eyelashes look different? He blinked? Yeah. And what about the skin, by his tail? There was a little flinch there. And for me, it's all connected. So because I'm so sensitive, this is my superpower. It's not why I'm going to fail in life. You're too sensitive. You need to control yourself. No, I just need to put myself in the right environment, which is with horses, with people who are also experiencing trauma.
I've got 3 tangents and I've got a question. 222 is actually the name of a company that Kelly Kirk, he's a bodybuilder. His it's a Sophia Graham Foundation. It's like a nonprofit. It does a lot of stuff. And they have this, he has a little story about 222 as like a thing that was like an insulting thing. And then now it's like a nice little thing. Anyways, that was like a weird thing, just weird coincidence that you mentioned that.
I gotta look that up because I didn't know and I want to know more now.
I did a 3-hour episode with him, so you gotta have fun with that. Second tangent, when you're talking about the painting and how people will see like the negativity of the painting or interpret it as a negativity kind of thing, like part of me was like, when you see the painting, the emotions of the painting end at the border of the canvas. It doesn't spread to the wall, it doesn't spread to the rest of the house. But my other thought was there's also the vertical part of it. The painting itself is 2D, but it also comes out. So it's like 2-dimensionally, when you look at it, it ends at the canvas, but 3-dimensionally, how receptive you are to certain emotions based on what you interpret of the painting is kind of like the quote that your mind is a reflection of who you are, or your thoughts are a reflection of who you are. It's like, if you're like what you were mentioning, if you saw it in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, before you go to sleep, it's like you can understand your state of mind looking at something and how it changes throughout the day. Like when you're really stressed at the end of the day versus when you just woke up, you might have positive, like you might not even that the painting itself is evoking certain emotions, but that you're receptive to certain things. So you might notice a different part of the painting and be like, that looks brighter. Or you might look at a darker part of the painting and be like, that looks darker. It's like what you focus on is what your current state of mind is. And so other weird tangent question I had, which is, who did you need permission from to be yourself?
Myself. And that was through that course I did, which is interesting enough. I'm doing some kind of version of it in Polish with one of my friends, and we have our first webinar on this topic this coming Thursday, but it is in Polish. It's going to all be in Polish, which is outside my comfort zone because I'm still learning Polish, but I got to do it. Anything that's, I don't know if I should, then that's a sign for me. Yep, got to do it.
Because I know every language has its own little like philosophy in psychology. Like in Japanese, there's Kaizen, which is continuous improvement over delayed perfection. Is there anything in Polish that is like, it's different once you started understanding the language?
Nothing is coming to me right now. I feel like one thing, the sense of humor is maybe a little bit different.
Any like, well, that's okay. Then I can go on a different question if you can't think of anything.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a difference between feelings and emotions?
Oh man, you asked me this before and I said, I need to think about that. And I tabled that and I never really went back into it. But our thoughts lead to our, maybe the feelings are how we interpret the emotion itself. So someone does something, I have this emotion that's also a biological change in my body. And then the feeling is what labels I assign to it based on whatever definitions that I might have come to based on my experiences in the past. But either way, thoughts lead to an emotion, which I guess evokes a feeling, which pushes you to take some sort of action. And taking no action is also an action of not doing anything. And that action will lead you to some kind of result, which could also be no result because you took no action, but that still is a result of nothing changing and staying stuck.
I surprisingly agree with most of that. I was thinking you might go somewhere else, but that was pretty much how I see it, except for whenever like from my emotional side, I see the emotion as a first thing, and then I have the feelings behind it, and then I make the thought about what I'm going to do with it, if that makes sense.
But something happens and your subconscious takes over based on your experience. Maybe your subconscious takes over based on whatever you've experienced and learned and had access to. And that provides like the blueprint and template for how you view and see life. So the thought can actually be less than a split second because something happens, you witness a car crash, I don't know. And you do have a moment where you think, even if you're not conscious of it, because it's your subconscious maybe thinking in this sense. And then that, based on your beliefs, creates the emotion. Because had you experienced something else in your life, we both see the same car crash, but we might feel different emotions. Why? There was some kind of thought influenced by our previous experiences, which you have this emotion, and maybe you have the ability to stop and think about the emotion that you have and then take action. Where I think a lot of people actually get stuck there. They just think, and maybe I should research stuff and think, and they never take the action. But that in itself of thinking and thinking is still an action. You're staying stuck.
I guess the way I see it is more of like the process in which it enters my brain. So I see it as emotions is the input, and then the feelings is like my amygdala interpreting whatever it is and trying to decide whether or not to fight, flight, or freeze. And then once I break whatever the initial feeling is, I can then think with my prefrontal cortex and make a thought out of it, if that makes sense.
Okay, what if I said cats are stupid? Like,
I would
what
agree with
emotion?
that. I would agree with that. I don't need an emotion for that. I agree with that already.
Okay, but Okay.
I see emotion as like if it's something positive, I don't really have to have any emotions on it because I already agree with it. If I agree with it, then I don't need to process it emotionally. But if it's something I disagree with it, that's a step of resistance, and with that resistance, I then have to take a step back, make sure that whatever it is isn't a threat, and then I can think about it in a more logical manner while also considering my emotions or feelings.
Okay. Would you, even if something is in line with what you say and you agree with it, then you're saying you have no emotion related to that?
I don't need to consider my emotions. Like my emotions aren't needed because I've already processed them.
Okay, but your emotions are there.
They're present, yes, but it's like kind of like what you were saying earlier is the unprocessed feelings, unprocessed emotions, the things that take a little more time to like ruminate over and understand better. Like once I've like let's say we'll go back to what you were saying. I hate cats. I hate dogs. Okay, I love dogs. I had a dog. He was the greatest dog in the world. Stupidly smart, which is incredible. Also, really more of like a lone wolf kind of dog. But that's because I understood him. I understood him kind of like the way you understand horses. I understood like, okay, he doesn't want to get pets right now. He wants to be outside and in the yard. I was like, okay, fine. Now I don't know cats very well, and I don't like them very well because I like the playfulness of a dog, not so much as the passiveness of a cat. But I do know a lot of good people who enjoy cats. So from that standpoint, it's like if you said cats are the worst things in the world, I would be like, yeah, but that's also because I don't have any experience with it. So I can agree with it, but I also don't have the experience to back it up. So if you asked why, it's like, oh, I don't know. But if you ask dogs, it's like, I understand dogs. Here's all the reasons why, because I had this great German Shepherd Collie and he was the greatest dog in the world. Or a golden retrievers are great. Huskies are annoying, but still great. It's like, I love dogs. So it's the emotions when I agree with something, I don't need to fully process it because sometimes for whatever is happening, because most of the things that happen in the world, at least in the world I live in, I don't have to switch on for it. Like it's not a threat. It's not something that's going to physically harm me or emotionally, spiritually. It's not an actual harmful thing. It's just that I perceive it as harm and therefore I have an emotional reaction to it. So if I agree with it, I don't need to take more emotional input than needed.
Do you give emotional output even if you feel the emotion, like a positive emotion, you agree with it, everything? Is there emotional output as well, or you just move on?
How would you define emotional output?
You express it in some way.
Okay. Um, there's two ways I can think. There's probably more ways, but to like oversimplify it, there's two ways of having an emotional output. There's a negative one, and there's a vulnerable output, and then there's the um positive output, or more. I was gonna say consensus, like it's more in tune with how I believe. So most of the time, I don't need to do an emotional output for anything. It's usually just like if I believe it, I will express it. If I don't, then it's like emotional vulnerability. Like, hey, especially with people I trust, it's here's why I believe the way I believe, but it's also not my most proud moment. It's not the best part of me. So here's something. Please don't use it against me. And then there's the other side of it. It's like, I've never had that problem before. Here's everything that I need as an emotional output for more of like the enthusiasm. Like I can make jokes out of it. I can kind of make twists on it. I can change the subject. My main problem is emotional tension. If it's something that like I'm not ready to process, I will ball up or I will change the subject really, really quickly. But when it comes to like the more logical emotional output, it's usually just either vulnerability, agreement, or this is not the right place to say anything.
Would you agree that what you focus on, you attract more of?
Oh, so the law of attraction? Yes.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you say is that when you agree with something, it's easy. You process, release rather quickly. It seems like in an instant and move on. Whereas if something doesn't sit right with you, You want to do an investigative, why? I need more clarity on this. And you spend more time on it. So what I'm hearing is that when there's something positive, you really don't spend much time feeling that, expressing that, and showing that. Whereas if something challenges you, makes you somewhat uncomfortable, then now you're going to do a deep dive into that. So maybe, I don't know, but maybe at some points when you have some kind of good feeling or something that you agree with, to maybe sit with that and explore those happy feelings. Because what you focus on, you attract. And if you're constantly focusing on things that are not in line with you, more and more things will be bombarded in your path for you to consider. Where I feel like is kind of related to what we were talking about earlier, where people can get stuck in learning, but not actually doing. And in this case, you're getting stuck in investigating, analyzing, searching for more answers. Whereas when there is an answer, a win, let's say, if something is in line with you, that you're not embracing that 100% fully because, oh, okay, true. Next. And so not as much time is spent on the positive, the happy, the I just won. I want to celebrate this feeling and hang on to this feeling more. But I don't know if
There's partially no, like it's interesting because there is the, I guess this kind of goes back to maybe 10, 15 years ago. Whenever I gave myself a pat on the back, I would become complacent. I would start, like, let's say it's something like there's like a lot of hard work, and then the second everything's finished, I then pat myself on the back, and then I kind of take it easy. But then I become complacent. I don't continue doing the same amount of work. And then, like, in that case, my grades started slipping. My desire to like do chores or do stuff around the house and like organize things started going down. So it wasn't necessarily, I guess, kind of what you were saying earlier, that you don't absorb energy, but like I absorb the positivity and like embody it in a way. It's more of, I'm not neglecting it. I've done all of this. I've done all this work because I want to do more happy moments in the future, so that at some point I can make less mistakes and I can focus on more of the positive stuff, because all the mistakes I've already made. It's like process of elimination.
yes. Okay. So you are embracing those moments where someone challenges you so that you can grow and reach that highest version of yourself faster.
Yeah, it's like that one quote, losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning. If I do more of the stuff that hurts me, then next time that happens, I've already processed it. I've already, either if it's someone I trust, I've already talked about it. And now I can say it without the emotions attached. I can say it from a more objective view, and I don't have to worry about being vulnerable because I've already been vulnerable, and whoever I said it to didn't judge me for it. Because I'm a very judgmental person. I will judge someone in less than 60 seconds anytime. But the second I start understanding, I take that judgment away, because now it's like, sure, I still am going to judge them, but I don't have to be negative about it, because I understand that there's going to be things I don't understand, and that they were trusting me with certain things that maybe they don't tell anyone else. And those are like the best relationships I have, because I don't need to judge them anymore.
What's coming to me is, I'm trying to formulate this question in a way, but do you feel like you're living the life that you want and you're getting out of life what you want right now? Or is that something that will be happening in the future for you after you overcome these challenges, these traumas, and process that?
I think one of the best things I've started realizing, especially over the last week, is the more, let's see, I could probably relate this to last week. So I've done, not this Monday, but the previous Monday, all of last week was pretty much just a lot of emotional management of doing both moving a company's location plus making sure I consistently do the podcast, plus another person who needs a lot of help with, who not a lot of help, but needs like more of the help on the production side. So there's like 3 major things I had to get done. And until yesterday, I kind of was just like, I woke, like every time I wake up, I would just be so emotionally drained. I would just like, I'll get sleep, physically sleep, but not emotional sleep. Like maybe it's not deep REM sleep, but like I just wasn't happy. I was like, not suicidal, not happy, but happy as in, not happy as in, I just like, was this all worth it? Do I really want to get this done? And then I started doing less stuff. So now my stress went up. So because the more you do, the less stress you have, because the point of stress is the stress over the things that you haven't yet done, the things that you need to get done. So the more things I do, the less stress I get, all that stuff. But there is still the burden of, will this all work out? Will everything I'm doing, because whenever I do something, I try to make it so accurate, so perfect the first time so that I can make less mistakes later. And when I try to make sure everything is perfect, and I understand perfection is an illusion, when I try to make sure everything's perfect, typically nothing gets to the point where I want it to be. And then like stuff goes through the cracks. But then yesterday when I made this one reel on Instagram, which is like a compilation of a bunch of photos from the last, I think I got like 10 or 12-ish episodes worth of photos. And it was, maybe a 30-second reel or something. And I saw that and I was like, the reason why I made that way back a couple weeks ago was because I wanted that serotonin boost. I wanted that, like, this is actually really fun now that I think about it. I love doing this. I love talking to people. So how this ties to what you were asking is there's a lot of gratitude for what I've done. And while I might not be perfectly happy with where I am right now, I'm not worrying about where I'm going to be. I'm just more happy where I've been. Like, I don't regret, like if I don't know, a nuke dropped on Washington right now and I just got disintegrated, I wouldn't be unhappy with the way I've lived the last, I don't know, year of my life. Sure, like a year ago, I was a completely different person, and I don't mean completely different person. I wasn't as confident with who I am, but I'm not worried about where I'm going because I'm trying to make sure everything I'm doing today is going to be, it's going to be a basis for tomorrow. And I mean, and tomorrow, like literally tomorrow, not tomorrow as in the future.
Can I challenge you with a question?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'll challenge you anyways. So, what can you do right now to live the life that you want? What can you start doing right now to live that life? Because it seems like there's a lot of stress in your life, a lot of things that you're juggling. You're focusing on how to heal, how to develop and achieve that.
That is true, but I don't think it's something I've thought about a couple times in the last week, that I don't think no matter how much I try to desire the getting what I want, I don't think I'll ever get there because I'm more obsessed with the journey with a little bit of milestones in between. Because I think there was a study on this or something that the like one of the top things that people on their deathbed regret is the things that they regret, is all the stuff that they didn't do, all the things that they could have done. And I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I can just be happy with where I am, but it doesn't mean I can't be grateful for the stuff I've already done. So like I thrive on the stress. Like a good friend of mine, he's 75 and he works like a 30-year-old. Like he does so much now. And one of the things he told me was he thrives on stress. He works on stress and he has the best personality. And when like there was one time he said he was going to be somewhere in the morning and he was driving from New York to DC, and he got in at 4 a.m, got 4 hours of sleep and did exactly what he said he was going to do. So it's kind of what, I forgot who said it. On a different episode, can't remember who I was talking to, but they said that they wanted to be capable. They wanted to be the most capable person and have the ability to provide. So from that perspective, I want to be that kind of guy. I want to be the one who's like everyone can go to and I can say, yes, I can get that done for you. And I don't think that I don't feel that if I ever became the person I want to be, that I'll ever be happy with who they are, because I'm always going to be looking for what else can I improve.
True, but that's like the journey of life, that you're always transforming yourself until the day that you die. So like you're obsessed with the journey of self-development and healing, and you love it. But is there still space for happiness? Like maybe you have happiness in that. But when I asked you, are you living the life like you want to live? Then there wasn't like this, yes, I am so happy. It was coming from a different energy, a different place. Maybe I'm interpreting.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's a different. It's not happiness. I want to not. It's not joy. Joy. I mean, I'm not unhappy. I'm just pleased. I'm pleased with who I am. I'm pleased with where I've been, and I'm happy where I'm going. But I'm not worried about the artificial enthusiasm of being somewhere that I hope I'm going to be, but also know, because a year ago, I didn't think I would even be with like what everything that's going on right now. So I'm more just like, there was one podcast with Dry Creek Dwayne, and like one of my favorite parts was when he said, I would buy myself a drink. I would go and, like, for me, I would go ride a horse with myself. I'd be happy to take myself out on, like, I would be happy to date myself. I'm not gay or anything, but I wouldn't mind going on vacation. I wouldn't mind exploring the world. But I also know that the world that I'm living in is exactly the world I was hoping for. I just didn't know it was going to be like this. So I'm not overly enthusiastic about it. I'm not going to say like I'm always going to be happy or I'm exactly where I want to be. But I'm not where I want to be exactly, but I'm not complaining about what I've done to get here, because the reality that I'm living right now is the reality I earned. I can't say, well, there's something I could have done before. No, I didn't do it before, and now I'm living that. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to make sure I get everything done. So now when I look back later, I can be the person I've always wanted to be. And in that case, I'll still be looking for another thing to do.
But like when you're looking for something and you're on that journey, at least for me, it's pretty exciting. And then there's also that rush of that moment when you understand. And now you're ready for like the next chapter, the next level of understanding. And for me, what maybe that's just like my personality coming out, but like I'm very enthusiastic about it. And I like to put a lot of happiness around it. So I would say my default, your default is maybe just being complacent. And that's like great. My default is just being happy. Like I feel like that's my default internally. And so knowing what these highs of my default of being happy, but also the highs of happy and enthusiastic, and what that makes my body feel like, and what I feel like my soul is capable of in those moments. Of course, it's different for everyone. But do you ever have an urge to tap out of that well, like to go into that well of being overjoyous, of happiness, of enthusiasm? Any part of you?
I'm going to ask you a counter question based on, do you think this is like an interpretation of emotional investment? That the way I interpret my emotions and the way that you interpret your emotions is just different ways to the same goal, which is just how much emotional investment do you put into whatever it is you're looking for?
Different amount of emotional investment. Maybe. I feel like both of us are really emotionally invested. Just the way that we invest that time, energy, and everything is a little different, but our paths are also really quite different. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's like some people invest in stocks, some people invest in gold and silver, some people invest in businesses. It's like, it's different things, but it's still like, I'm not saying I'm, by having the the happiness, that I'm not emotionally invested, I still like the work itself becomes the emotional investment, if that makes sense. The time, the energy, the focus, and being able to wake up every morning and be like, hey, I know what I want to do today. It's not going to be perfect, but at least I didn't regress. I didn't stagnate, and I didn't become counterproductive. I became a better person, even if it was like 0.5%.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What's your why for doing that? What's your why for being invested in this way to like better yourself, learn more about yourself? Why?
Because no one else is going to do it, so I might as well do it myself.
Okay, but why? What does that give you?
It allows me, I think, peace. Just having a peace of mind of like, this is the way it is. Am I still going to hurt people? Probably. Am I still going to do stupid things? Probably. Am I going to say idiotic things? Absolutely. But it's just having the peace of everything else, kind of. And I thought about this earlier when you were talking. I think it was maybe the paintings or maybe the horses, that you kind of flow like water. Like no matter what direction you go into, it all goes down. It still goes to like the ocean. It still goes to the collective ocean, maybe of emotions, of the finishing whatever it is. It's kind of like that. It's just, it's not being the rapids on the way down from the mountains. It's just having a nice peaceful, like if there's a rock, just go around it. If there's something else, it's okay, split and then come back. I would say I'm like 60-40 logical, 60% logical, 40% emotional, but I invest so much time in understanding my emotional side because I didn't really understand that as growing up. Then now that that's getting more and more peaceful, I can focus more on the logical things and doing the things that make me feel more of a man, more masculine, more like a male.
Okay.
I forgot what your question was. I think I went on a random tangent on that one.
Like, like why you're doing so much work and investing in yourself and understanding those emotions, and why do that? Why work on yourself? And then you mentioned that no one else is going to do it for you.
Peacefulness
But
and
like, what do you get out of that? And then you mentioned something about peace. So you have some peace already because you've been doing this work for some time, but you still feel like there's room for more peace in yourself. Is that right? Or do you have that peace already? You found it?
I have. I don't think I've gotten in yet, but I want to get to the point where I default to peace. That no matter how chaotic the world is, when I get home, I can just be at peace. I can relax a little bit. I'll watch a movie or watch a TV show or something, watch some YouTube, maybe a podcast. But like I can go home and everything else in the world can just be the way the world lives, and I can work through it. I can understand it. I can go through all the complexities, and I can tolerate it a lot. But then when I get back home, that's when I can just be like, okay, not now. Now I go to sleep. Now I go chug down an energy drink. Like I'll leave everything else outside. And I want to get to the point to be peaceful, to just get away from it all.
What does peace look like for you?
Silence. It's like all the noise that's in my head, just, it's not gone, but it's just quiet. It's just peaceful. It's just steady.
And when you think about that, what kind of emotion does that bring up in you?
The lack of emotions. It's kind of like it's and you could probably understand this better than I do, that like one difference between men and women is that men can stare at a wall and watch paint dry and be perfectly content with that, whereas like women will still be thinking about all the different things. Like women's minds are like spider webs. Like they have all these different connections and all these different things that they're trying to get done, and they're trying to go over here and going over here, or even like it's like a browser with like 100 tabs open, and they'll get back to it once they need to get back to it. But like everything's it's like there's a massive organization, whereas men, it's like more like categories. Like you open this box, you close this box, you open this box, close this box. Like I could stare at a wall. Now I'd probably still have things to think about, but like I could stare at a wall for 20 minutes, and as much as I probably wouldn't want to do that, I could do it, and that itself is like peaceful. It's like there's nothing else in this world, and then I can get back into everything else I was doing. But just to be able to disconnect and not burn out is one way I would look at peace. Not the only way, but one way.
Is there any level or version of happiness that's related to peace?
How would you define happiness?
Everyone might have their own definition.
Yeah.
So
Well, how would you either how would you define it or how would you interpret it?
for me, happiness is knowing who I am and also that level of peace. So I can find happiness even in the midst of difficult experiences. Yes, I have those emotions that are related to this situation, but I'm still happy to be experiencing this because I have this inner peace, faith, and knowing that this is part of the process. But that has some level of happiness for me. So for me, peace and happiness are really intertwined.
So what do you mean by your question of will I find happiness or am I finding happiness in it?
Like, do you see how peace and happiness, is there a connection for you between peace and happiness?
I would say they're the same thing. Peace is my happiness.
Peace is your happiness.
Yeah.
So you're not happy necessarily right now because you're still searching. You mentioned that you were trying to attain that peace. You're still on your journey for peace. So if peace and happiness are the same thing, then you're still on your journey to find happiness.
I have, maybe more specifically, I have inner peace. It's not the best inner peace, and sometimes I put it aside so I can get other stuff done, but my inner peace becomes the happiness that I look for. And I'm not necessarily on the journey for it, but I'm just like slowly, not redefining it, but making it like kind of like how someone like a stonemason or someone is chiseling out a statue. Like it's peaceful. It's just, it's getting more defined and more, it's getting easier to default to it. It's getting easier to switch out of everything I'm going through or everything that I have to organize, everything I have to understand, but I can still get back to a baseline of peace. And that it's not necessarily a journey. It's more of just a process. Like it's progressional. As I do more, as I'm able to handle more, as my mind is able to take in more information and provide better outputs, I can also just be peaceful with it. I can default back to peaceful, to being, to like, if I hate, from number one, actually this might work as an analogy. I hate crowds. You put me in a crowd of 100 people that I've never met, I will be paranoid and I'll do everything I can to get out of that place. But if you get me into a room of 100 people that I know most of them, I'll probably be okay with it. But if I can get a room with 3 people, that's the best. Like I will be more at peace. I'll feel less scared, less frightful, less self-aware. Maybe that's kind of what you're looking for. It's not, peacefulness is just being less self-aware and I can just decompress.
Would you say though, like when there's 3 people, that's the best, 100 people, like, okay, but then like a huge crowd of people, that's some kind of trigger for you, which could just be a personal preference. But where does that personal preference stem from?
It's a situational awareness. I like when I was 12, I like whenever I go to the grocery store, I'd be like, hey, what's that person doing? Hey, they might have something, like not in a paranoid way, but more of like I've read a lot of books and it's like, it's just fun to do. And like that just became subconscious. And now like everywhere I go, I just constantly look for not potential threats, but it could also be like familiar faces or people who might be uneasy. Like what could I not look for? When I'm at peace, I'm not looking for that. Like when I'm with people that I trust with I have a lot of confidence in, I don't have to be more aware of my surroundings. I could be more less aware.
In a sense, then you would be more in tune with your body, maybe more in tune with what's going on in your inner world rather than what's going on in your outer world.
It was like reconnecting. I was like, okay, maybe it's my thing, but like I've got mine connected, so there shouldn't be any problem with the internet on my end. Like my internet's so good. I'm not saying it's hers. I'm just saying why. I don't know what happened. I'm really sad because you were going on a great tangent.
I'll get back into it.
Okay.
So this reminds me of a story with a horse. Oh, you have that little bit. I think you can chop. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
chop some pieces.
I'll edit this afterwards.
So basically, I saw this horse as a foal in Poland, head over heels. Take my dad's money because at that time I was in high school. So please take my dad's money. I need this. No, he was not for sale. It's like, we have 40 horses here. Choose any of them, not this one. And I was like, no, but this is a special one. There's something special about him. No. He was bred for the breeder's daughter. Very, very talented rider, extremely crazy talented. So he has good bloodlines. He's supposed to be for her. Okay. And then, every year I started coming back on vacation with my dad, and I wanted just to go to this barn because I like their horses, but I also just wanted to sit and watch this horse. And so that's what I would do. I'd much prefer to ride this, sit in the hay and just observe how this horse is eating freaking grass or hay and just sleeping rather than going out and training on high level sports horses. I would just prefer to sit there and just watch him. I wanted him so I was so obsessed. Like pictures everywhere. Like collage, just this horse. Suaveness, 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 suaveness. Like just him all day long. He was 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, sent for training. Are you sure he's not for sale? No. 5 years old. They're having a very difficult time with him. He's rearing with riders, falling on his back. They're trying to take him to shows. He's still a stallion. Very difficult. Rearing. I saw some trainers even hitting him on the head with a whip when he was rearing to try to motivate him to stop rearing. Because when he doesn't rear,
So
he doesn't get.
that definitely works every time.
Yes. But no, not for sale. Not for sale. And so I finally just accepted, I just surrendered into it. I'm like, I have this stuff going on in LA. I'm okay with it. I can't wait to see how she's going to be jumping on this horse. Wow. I can't wait to go on vacation to watch her ride this horse because I'm okay with that now. At this point, I'm okay with that. I just want to see him. I don't need him. I just want to look at his beauty and just bask in it because wow. And when he was 6 years old, got a call. Are you interested in buying him? It was like when I had that acceptance and that surrender and I stopped being so crazy about him, obsessive about him. Can't be any other horse. No other horse will do. No, it just has to be this. Dramatic about it. Like very dramatic. When I was just like, okay, I see that. I just want to look at him next time. Then it was like the universe was like, here you go. And so I had another situation, and I have this horse to this day. He is 21 or 22. I don't even know. I've been saying he's 15 years old for the past 5 years. So I don't know. But there was another horse for sale, and I became crazy. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to show everyone, do what it takes. Sell my kidney, sell my passport on the black market. I don't care. Do what it takes. Sell the car, sell everything. Sell it, the couch, bed, everything. And I wasn't able to get him. Some other girl purchased him. And then he was for sale again, 6 months later. And I'm like, universe, this is a sign from the universe. Thank you, universe. I'm going to get him now. Now I'm ready to get him. And I couldn't make it happen. Just shit hit the fan. Things started happening. I have my responsibilities here with my horses, and I couldn't get him. And I was devastated, and I was angry. I was so angry. And I remember seeing the next girl who got him, and my friend found her on TikTok. She was a rising star, on TikTok with this horse. And I was just so jealous. I was like, I deserve this horse. He was meant for me. And I have pictures with him when he was a baby. I went there. He's meant for, and I was just this obsession. I'm going to wait until she can't handle him and I'm just going to come and swoop in and blah, blah. It was this super obsessive aggression and stalking the videos, And then I finally came to a point where with the other horse, Suave, where I was just I'm so happy I get to see his progress on TikTok. I'm so happy I see his transformation. I'm so happy. I see how happy he's making this girl. Can I imagine myself? And then I tried to visualize just being in her shoes and having this horse through, I don't know if she's in high school, university, I don't know exactly, but having this horse through that experience, what that means for her. And I thought I had that. In high school with Diva, that one horse. I was like, oh yeah, how cool. With that horse, I had that. She deserves that. And I'm so happy that I could just watch her do that. And so this surrendering into it and finding this acceptance and finding how it also benefits me and how I'm learning from this experience and also learning from her experience, learning more about myself by observing her and that horse.
There's like 10 tangents I want to go on, like low expectations, high standards, desiring that which you cannot have, love, things you won't realize are truly wonderful until it becomes a memory. Like there's a bunch of tangents I want to go on, but don't have time for it. So last two questions that I ask everyone. Who do you want to be 10 years from now? And what would you have told yourself 10 years ago?
Who do I want to be 10 years from now? I want to be the woman who helps release so much trauma from so many people and so many horses. I want to be the woman who guides people, who shows people the path, who sits with them through that darkness, whether that be online or in person. But I want to be that person whose mission it is to change lives. And not only that, but save lives, both humans and horses, both of them. Because initially it started as horses. I just want to save horses, rescue horses. I started teaching online because I want to inform people on how they can empower themselves to be able to take on difficult horses and rescue horses. Because I'm only one person. I can only save so many horses physically myself. And so I wanted to empower others. But through that process, I healed so much. And out of the woodwork, people just started coming to me and I started coaching them with my horses. And I saw a whole new world. And I felt so much happiness in helping them and also seeing their transformation over months. Even sometimes it's in 2 sessions, I see a whole new person. And it's like, it lights me up. So I want to be that woman who takes that to 18 million levels more than what I'm doing right now. And what was the other question? Because I forgot.
What would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
I'm going with the first thing that comes to me. And that's fuck them. Fuck everyone. Just fuck. Go do it. Just fuck them. Just that one word, just over and over. Which, when I visualize this and I see it in my head, her reaction is exactly your reaction of laughing, which is good because, it's such a generally a serious question, which causes some tension in the body and but that was just really authentic of me to just be like, fuck it. Because don't cuss, that's bad. But it's just, and that allows some comic relief in that sense to release the tension so that the words and the idea of it, the intention behind those words is able to be absorbed. Because we release that and now we're open for the deeper meaning.
I have one question, just because there's a little bit of time. It's a weird question. Do you love yourself?
I do. I love myself so much. Every aspect, all aspects. The dragon, the unicorn, all parts. All parts are needed. All parts are loved. Whoever shows up, okay, I love you. I'm going to sit with you. Let's express whatever you have to express.
That's all I got. I would shake your hand, but it's not possible. But that was great. I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be a weird one to edit because, it wouldn't be too hard to edit. I'd have a 2-camera setup. Shouldn't be too hard to edit. But yeah, that's all I got. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Or
maybe can I just do one sentence or a couple sentences of where people can find me?
Oh, sure.
And then I know you'll put it below.
Yeah.
But
I'll have episode notes. I'll have your thing on my website, like the everything. But yeah, you can go ahead and say that. I'll just add it in.
Cool. So if someone is looking for more information on the topics that we have been discussing today, especially in regards to horses, then you can find me on Instagram, equestrian Kasia Bukowska, Kasia Bukowska. And I would love to invite anyone who has been listening this entire time to my webinar coming up next month on August 23rd at 8 p.m. CET, Poland time, European time. And it is titled Your Horse, Your Mirror. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into how to interpret those cues, those signals, into lessons, life lessons that you could use and implement in your connection with your horse, but also in other aspects of your life. So it's on my Instagram page, also on my website, hearthorseexperience.com. Check it out.
All right. So just so everyone knows, I'm going to edit this and then release it the day after, August 24th. So this will be perfect.
Okay.
No, I should be able to get this within a week or two. So it should be plenty before that. Cool. That's all I got.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.